Hello and welcome back to the Money Bear Podcast. I'm your host, Chloe, better known as Chloe Bear Money Coach on the internet. And today we're going to do a little life update. This is your quick tip episode, quick tip number 3. And I got to talk some shit about the 50-30-20 budget today. But before that, let's do a little bit of life updates. So I am recording this on December 22nd. And I am in my hometown in central Illinois, and it is snowing like a mofo. I'm looking out the window, and it's cozy AF, but it's really making me like not want to work because who wants to work when it's 19 degrees outside and snowy AF, and it's a few days before Christmas. So that's where my like headspace is right now. I'm like in love. I feel so stupid when I say that, but I really am. I gave more information about my boyfriend on my story this week, and I let you guys know that yes, we are spending the holidays together. So he won't be coming until the 26th, but he'll be here for a whole week hanging out with me and my family, my parents, everybody. Everybody's like, whoa, that's a big move. But this man has actually been in my life since 2020. I'm going to tell y'all another secret. It's like every quick tip episode, I'm just going to drop another secret about him. So he has known me since before I was Chloe Bear Money Coach. Back in 2020, we actually met for the first time, and that's the only amount of information I'm going to give to you. But I will tell you, he's the best person I know, and things are going so well, and I can't wait for him to come down here. I haven't seen him since the cabin getaway weekend. Our schedules have just been crazy, and it's probably going to continue to be like that, especially because he's actually planning on moving to Colorado next year and I'm planning on moving to San Diego. So that's not really changing for either of us right now, which I'm totally cool with because as a person who's been single most of her life, I actually prefer a lot of time alone. And one of the things about getting into a relationship that always gives me anxiety is the idea of losing my singlehood and the ability to spend time alone and exactly how I want and all that good stuff. So it's really actually the perfect scenario for me to be in a long distance relationship because one, the excitement stays alive of being able to see each other and be so excited and cherish those moments together. But also, your girl needs her alone time. I need to be alone, and he does as well. So it's actually really best case scenario that we are doing this. And San Diego and Colorado are luckily not very far apart, especially when it comes to flights. Like I've seen flights for 75 bucks. So I'm not worried about it. I'm very excited. But that's a little bit of a life update. Things are going good. I am taking a snooze, a rest on the business for the rest of the year. It's only what, 9 days. But I'll still be like posting and things along those lines. But it's just really nice to take a chill pill because I know in January I'm going to crank up and we're going to get some stuff done. We've got a lot of new things that I'm planning on for 2022, 2023. What year is it? And I'm really excited to get those things moving. So I'll keep you guys posted on what those things are going to be. But good stuff. Just more stuff that's aimed to help everyone. Aim to help you figure out your money life, aim to help you achieve your money goals, aim to help you do your money on your own. So I'm always going to be focused on educating all of you so that you can make the best money decisions to your best ability in a way that you actually understand. So I'm stoked for it. All right, you guys ready for me to talk shit about the 50-30-20 budget? All right, now you may be wondering why I'm picking on the 50-30-20 budget, but the reason I'm picking on it is because when I was looking at like blog posts to write, I saw one of the top search terms in the budgeting world right now is the first 50-30-20 budget. And I was like, I really don't like the 50-30-20 budget because it doesn't work. And so I was like, I need to create some piece of content to explain why, yes, I understand the reasoning behind the 50-30-20 budget, but let me tell you why it's not really the best route to go. It's setting you up for failure. Now, let's first talk about what the 50-30-20 budget is. So, the 50-30-20 budget is essentially focusing on a simple rule that allows you to divide your after tax income, so the money that you take home. The US Senator Elizabeth Warren actually popularized this method in her book, All Your Worth, The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan. But the idea is essentially that after tax income that you get, you split it into three categories: 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings. I like that that really simplifies it. If you don't know what to do with your money, this is a simple rule, simple guideline for you to decide this is where I want my money to go. Now let's break it down a little bit further so that you understand what is my needs, versus my wants versus savings. So your 50% needs is focusing on your bills, the things you have to pay no matter what, like your rent, utilities, car payment, groceries, insurance, debt, etc. And when I say debt, it's focusing on the minimum payments of your debt. Those are non-optional, right? Non-negotiable. Now, the 30% wants, this I feel like is self-explanatory, but it does mean things like eating out, cable, streaming services, shopping for fun, extra clothes, upgrades, travel. I think a lot of people put things like, let's say you go to an expensive CrossFit gym like myself, you might feel like, well, that's a need. I need that gym. But is it a need or is it a want? Because if it's an upgrade and you could have gotten a gym for 20 bucks or you could have gotten a gym at home or whatever, then it might fall into the want category. So you do have to ask yourself, it's different than just like the needs immediately being the fixed expenses, because your fixed expenses, some of those might be wants. For example, Netflix is probably a want. Showtime is probably a want. Upgraded gyms, things along those lines, subscription services, those are all wants, even though they're fixed expenses for us. So you do have to look at your expenses in a new lens other than just this is fixed and this is discretionary. Now, the 20% savings is pretty like what I would say is the 20% savings is focused actually on your gross income. So I would actually include your 401k contributions in here or anything that's coming directly out of your paycheck, like an HSA or something along those lines. I would include that because that is savings. Now, I do the 20% rule because a lot of folks start with 10%. And I think that if you can get up to 20%, you're going to be in a better situation. But the 20% savings, that means cash that you're savings for your emergency fund. That means money that you're investing. And that even means extra money that you're putting on debt. So the minimums of your debt, that is your needs because you can't miss those. But putting extra on, you're actually saving money because you're paying off your debt. The biggest pro that I see for the 50/30/20 rule is that I do like that it's simple. And a lot of us need simple in order to achieve, especially when we're focusing on a new behavior. Behavior changes are some of the hardest things. So keeping things simple is really helpful. But I also really like that they emphasize saving 20% rather than 10% because, like I've said, if you're trying to save 10%, first of all, you're doing a good job. Saving 10% is amazing. So many people can't even do that. But if you want to be able to retire someday, unless you are starting at the age of 20 saving 10% is probably not going to do it, especially because a lot of us, we don't start until our 30s or our 40s. And so we're going to have to save more. We're going to have to be closer to the 20 or even potentially 30% savings rate. It depends. I don't want to freak you out with that number because it absolutely depends. But I like the emphasis on saving more rather than just 10%. 10% was the guideline when we had things like pensions. But how many of you have pensions anymore? I don't. I don't know a lot of people who have pensions. So now that saving for retirement is really on us, the 10% just doesn't really cut it anymore. Now, why am I shit talking the 50/30/20 rule? What's my beef with it? My biggest beef with why I don't like it is because the 50/30/20 rule completely ignores what is important to you. I think that it can be a great guideline to get you started, but it completely ignores your priorities. So, for example, let's say maybe where you live as a tourist, where I live is incredibly important, but maybe that's really important to you. So, you're willing to forgo eating out, you're willing to forgo expensive travel, you're willing to give up a lot of different things in order to make where you want to live the priority. Like if you really want to live in a downtown loft in San Diego and you're willing to forego other expenses, other wants in order to make that happen, I think that is totally fine. If it's, let's say, for example, you really love traveling, like it's the most important thing in your life, and you are willing to have four roommates in order to do it as much as possible, then maybe your want category is going to be significantly higher than your needs, but you make it work. I really think there's nothing wrong with that because what matters most is that we are spending in a way that brings us the most value. The things that we want to prioritize, the things that light us up, because that is the point. Using an arbitrary guideline that says you should just do this because I say you should do this, it doesn't make sense. And that's why people don't stick to it. Whereas if you are designing your money to be aligned with what you love, what is most important to you, your values, all of those things, that's going to be a lot more fun to stick to. I don't like arbitrary rules. In fact, when I have arbitrary rules, often I want to do the exact opposite because I just don't like it. So, you're probably wondering, what do I recommend instead? I recommend values based budgeting. I recommend priorities based budgeting, where you're essentially looking at what are the things that are the most important to me and how do I align my money to reflect that. So you spend as much money as you can on the things that bring you joy, that bring you value, that are a priority. And then everything else you cut back on in order to dedicate more money to those things. So I'm not going to dive super deep into values based budgeting right now because I have another episode on it. I have blog posts on it, and I have my free guide on it. So if you would like to learn more about the budgeting method that I like and that I think is the game-changing budgeting method, I recommend going to thelazyinvestorscourse.com/guide and downloading my free guide to get not only a free template, but also tutorial videos and blog posts and step-by-step directions on how to implement a values-based budget in your life. So check that out. Again, it's thelazyinvestorscourse.com/guide down in the show notes in every episode, but check that out and I hope it helps. And if you are a values-based budgeter, be sure to send me a DM and let me know what you think and how it works for you. All right, friends, that is your quick money tip for this week. As always, since we are talking about money, please know nothing on here is intended as financial advice. It is for education purposes only. My goal is always to give you the education you need so you can make decisions on your own. So I hope that was helpful. If you want to see our full terms and conditions, check out the show notes. But that's all I got for you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.